Hi, this is Cynthia Makris. So, tonight's question. What exactly is an opera coach? What's the difference between an opera coach and just a singing teacher? Well, first of all, an opera coach can come from two different directions. One is an experienced pianist, somebody who is virtuosic enough to be able to play all of the notes that normally an orchestra would play, and also hear the singer and know when to give the singer cues, because it's often the coach who teaches the singer the notes and the rhythms. So this is called a piano score, and it's actually a reduction for one person at the piano of everything that 90 to 120 people in the orchestra are playing. So it is a considerable skill, not only to be able to play all the notes, but to know sometimes which notes not to play, because if the orchestra is very thick, if there are many people playing many different things, and the pianist is so great that he can play all the notes, it's going to sound like a soup. And the singer will hear certain things, certain phrases will come out of the orchestra, and then the singer goes, okay, now I go on. That's my cue, now I go on, because that actually happens when the whole orchestra plays. So that's a skill set. And sometimes the pianist coach is also skillful enough to give some very good vocal ideas. He also knows how loud the orchestra will be at any given point in time, because singing just in a room, it could sound absolutely fine, but when the orchestra becomes extremely loud, especially if it's thick, you need to use a slightly different technique. You have to have the voice very, very well focused to cut through that sound. So as you can see, that's a very large skill set. And just by the way, some of the very best opera conductors have started out as singers coaches, because they know every opera inside and out. They've played every note hundreds of times. They also know what a singer's voice can do at which point in time, when the singer absolutely has to have a breath. So they slow down a slight bit so the singer can have a breath to sing the next phrase. So that's considerable. And then there's somebody like me. I could call myself a singing teacher, which I am. I teach people how to sing. I teach vocal technique. And the reason I call myself an opera coach is because the experience I've had singing opera means that I can add very much more than just support the voice, keep your jaw loose, the normal things that one does need to know to learn how to use the voice in a classical way. For example, just to have the broad view of the character that someone is starting to work on. If you know what steps that character is going to go through in the course of the story being told, you can give advice about how to sing things at the beginning so that that character will stay together, so that you'll know at the end that it's the same person. And it also gives some, I love the word magic, it gives some magic to the way the person sings every phrase. There's also, now this isn't just limited to opera, this could be done in songs of any kind, but to really understand the words and to know which words need to be colored a slightly different way depending on what you want to say. So all of this comes in, plus there are many different styles in opera. Opera isn't just one period. So there's Baroque opera, there's the classical period, there's the Romantic period, there's the post-Romantic period. And although you sing with the same voice and you have the same technique, the style is slightly different. So a singer who doesn't know these styles would, benefit a lot from someone who can advise them. And in this style, in this kind of music, don't do that portamento. It's not good. Don't sing the staccato so punctured in this style. They have to be slightly softer. So these are all nuances, and that's what an opera coach will know. So, for example, this score. This is Lucia di Lammermoor. This is a love story which does not end well. A girl and a boy fall deeply in love, and their families are warring, so they're not permitted to marry. And the girl's forced to marry someone she does not love at all, and she kills the bridegroom on her wedding night. So when you see what's going to happen at the end, that that girl is actually going to lose her mind, you understand that she's quite a fragile person. So if you can get that fragility into her at the beginning, so there's a depth to her and a fragility. So even when she's quite happy, you can understand at the end that it's the same person. So just listen a little bit. This is her first aria. She's telling her maid that she was walking alone at night in the moonlight, in the beautiful moonlight, and a ghost appeared to her, warning her to leave the young man. So just listen a little bit and see if you can grasp not only the picture she's painting of the silvery moonlight, but also just who she is from the way she sings. So hopefully that did portray the tenderness, the fragility of this girl, her impulsiveness. So all of the things that will be revealed later on. And if somebody is just starting to learn one aria, well, it's more pretty music than actually telling the story. So there's another great, great, great opera heroine from Verdi's La Traviata, Violetta, a beautiful courtesan with a noble character who gives up the only person she loves because, you know, the kind of woman she is, she doesn't deserve it. And when she's dying, the young man comes back and finds her. She's been sick from the beginning of the opera, but trying to deny it. She has tuberculosis, so she eventually will die. When he comes back in, he says, "Oh my God, you're going to be okay. I'll save you. Everything's going to be all right. You'll be with me." And so he sings this music. It's very tender. But when she sings, she's so close to death. There's not much strength left in her. And his enthusiasm and his optimism, with her, it's more grasping onto him. You're strong, you're alive. Okay, I'll try to believe you. Okay, let's do it, let's do it. But she doesn't have that strength anymore. So this is how she would sing it. So you can feel the different shades. And this is something that, if someone has sung a role many, many, many times, they have a lot to offer a student. My last teacher, I keep talking about her, sang almost all of the roles that I sang. So she knew minute to minute what was going to be required on stage. And then there's one of the most beautiful roles ever written, Bellini's Norma. So Norma is the Druid high priestess. She channels the goddess. Her people look up to her for wisdom because the wisdom comes from the goddess and she's the direct channel. But what I mean about singing, this is a beautiful aria no matter how you sing it. It's been composed in a beautiful way. But if you think of everything she is. So I found this in one of my scores. These are my notes about Norma, and there are quite a few. So Norma, basic color, silvery, basic emotion, deep sadness, disappointment, bearing, regal, character, noble, pure, strong sexuality, sensual, compassionate, very high standards, underlying tension of all at all times because she's violating her own high standards. This causes explosivity. She's born to rule, etc., etc. Because you know what's coming after, and you know the backstory. So Norma has human problems which are enormous and which could cost her her life, which she's hiding. So along with this sacredness that is part of her being, she's got all of these other things going on, and she could explode at any second. She's not only the kind motherly face of the goddess, but she's the avenging goddess. So if you put that, all of these things into this beautiful aria, plus if you think about each word of the text, Casta Diva, so chaste goddess, Casta Diva, who's bathed in silvery light. It's just, you will sing it differently than just the pretty notes. So have a listen. So, che argenti, so bathed in silver, and that just the silveriness that comes into the voice when you sing that, it's part of the art. Her second verse, she says, temper, O goddess, temper you, the hearts of these people who are so ardent, who want to go to war. But when she, tempera, O diva, goddess, there's a tender love that comes out when she even speaks the name, or even when she says tempra tu, you. It's a tenderness that comes into the voice because the goddess is everything. So just listen. So that's what an opera coach is. An opera coach is someone who understands what the voice can do, who can hear what the other person is singing and understand what they're doing which is working for them, what they're doing which is not working for them, and what to do differently. That's probably the key in teaching vocal technique. Is most people can hear what's wrong. Oh, I didn't like that. That was wrong. You should do it differently. Well, how? So it's the knowing how, and being able to explain it and show it in a way that the person actually understands, so they become more empowered instead of just hearing, well, you did that wrong. It's like, oh, now I know how to do it right. Now I know how to do it right. So a coach, by definition, is someone who empowers someone else. And an opera coach is someone who empowers someone to be able to sing opera well. So that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it.